What's going on, guys? It's Omniarch, and today we're bringing you a brand new video playing Clash Royale. We're going to go over a ton of things, namely some of my card choices that I've made since last video. Also the fact that we are now in the Barbarian Bowl at 876 trophies, which means I've done a bit of grinding since the last video. Just a bunch of stuff that I thought was kind of boring to watch, so I didn't want to do that. And at the end of the video, we're going to be opening this Barbarian Bowl value pack. I really like these early level packs because they're only $1 and you get a ton of value out of them. Normally 80 gems is $1, so now you're getting 80 gems plus a pouch of gold and a giant chest, and the giant chests are by themselves not something you can buy anymore, and I forgot about that because of the new update. But anyway, you also can see I joined Supreme Villain, the clan that my cousin's in. He's a good player. He's getting into the the newest arena, Electro Valley, I believe. So yeah, I mean, none of us are pro players, but I just really enjoy this game. So anyway, let's talk about some of my card choices that I've changed since the last videos. And before I get into that, look at this layout that I made. It took me like an hour and a half to make this layout. I hope you guys really enjoyed, and if you do, let me know in the comment section below. Tell me if you like it, if you hate it. And I also didn't include a spot for my deck, which I realized afterwards, but you know, it's gonna change a ton in the next couple of videos anyway, so you know, hopefully that's okay. And this is the deck I'm gonna be using for the video, so if you guys want to know it, screenshot it now. But anyway, the last couple of videos I was using the witch, and I was using the minions in between there, probably off video. I don't think I used minions in the last video, and if I did, it wasn't that much. So I wanted to explain some of my changes here. I was using the Valkyrie as a kind of like a push, where I would do Valkyrie and then Musketeer, and I decided to not do that. And the reason that I had Valkyrie in there in the first place is because at this level, right, we've got the Bone Pit and Goblin Stadium, both pretty spammy arenas where, you know, you get the goblins, the spear goblins, the goblin gang, and then in this arena you get the skeletons and the graveyard, and you have obviously the skeleton army in the very first training camp. So with all of those cards, and of course, you know, the goblin huts, the spam decks down here at these lower levels are rampant, so I figured, you know what, Valkyrie is a great card to counter that ground spam because she's AoE, but I found that she wasn't giving me the value that I wanted because she wouldn't really survive much after taking out maybe a skeleton army or a goblins, and I was finding that I was trading 3 elixir for my 4 elixir card, and I wasn't getting the counter pushes out of her that I wanted, so I was kind of like, I felt like I was at an elixir disadvantage, even though she would survive the skeleton army and the goblins and stuff like that. Like the spear goblins would just chip away at her, and it's just, I feel like she wasn't worth 4 at her current level. So I decided to put in the bomber. The bomber does the same thing, ground AoE. He's just a lot more frail, and his attack speed, I believe, is lower. He's got 97 damage per second, 1.9 attack speed, and she has the 1.5 attack speed. So she actually attacks faster but does less damage, but she's just more bulky. So yeah, Bomber, I think, is better for these lower arenas because of his lower elixir cost, and even though he is frail, you can drop a knight in front of him, you can drop skeletons in front of him. There's tons of ways to kind of protect him, and because he's ranged, he can stay a little bit farther back. You know, you can maybe put him off to the side of your tower and have them, you know, do some damage to your tower, and he'll just take out waves of things. So that was my first choice. The other choice is, you'll see that I used to have the skeleton army, and if we scroll all the way down to some of my older matches from this morning, you can see that I was in fact using the skeleton army in my deck, and I decided to take that out, mainly because Valkyries are pretty rampant, right? And Valkyries will rip through my skeleton army as well as the bomber, and I just feel like I wasn't getting too much value out of them. Mainly because I would use them to like swarm the giant or swarm a mini P.E.K.K.A. or something like that, and I feel like you can do that with the skeletons. Like, really all you need is them to be distracted for a little bit, and the skeletons will do a little bit of work, and then that's it. Like, they'll be a one shot from your tower or something like that. So it's just a really good cycle card, and I'm gonna play a match while I continue to talk. So let's watch. Let's see, what was the one I wanted to actually show you guys? It was this guy right here. You can see he's using a Prince deck with the Giants, so and the Goblin Barrel. Yeah, so this is a really funny 3-0. You can see me completely counter his prince push every single time, and this is a good example of how not to use the prince. So anyway, what I was talking about before is using the skeletons over the skeleton army, and again, really it's all about distracting those mini P.E.K.K.A.s and surrounding the giant with them and things like that. And at these low arena levels, I think it's really important to be able to cycle through your cards, because later on in higher arenas you get very versatile cards that can be used in a lot of different instances, such as Zap, where you can use on offense or defense. You can use the Ice Golem on offense or defense. You know, he can distract and slow on defense, or he can be a tank, a mini tank, and kind of soak a little bit of tower damage on offense. So you have all of these cards that are very versatile that you get later on, but in these lower arenas you don't have them. So it's very important to be able to cycle to the cards that are specific for what you're trying to counter at these lower arenas. And I feel like bringing the Valkyrie down to a bomber and bringing the skeleton army down to the skeletons really puts me at a good elixir range, to where I can really easily cycle through at these lower levels and get to those cards that are going to counter my opponent. And I think that's not something that you see too common down here, because these people in these trophy ranges don't typically know too much about the game. So I think that's a great way to start cycling without Zap and without some of those other cards like the Ice Golem that really help you cycle, and just, you know, making that sacrifice, like, okay, maybe I'll take, you know, 3 skeletons instead of 13 or whatever they are, and still get the job done if you just play them a little bit differently, right? Like the skeleton army is a super easy card to play. You just drop him, and because of that, he's super easy to counter. So yeah, if you just learn how to use skeletons as opposed to skeleton army, I think as long as you're leveling up your skeletons, it's a really good option. Now you can see here, he keeps dropping the prince when I have a ton of elixir to counter it, and he's not supporting it with anything. He's just dropping the prince, and he's doing the goblin barrel at the same time, but I have all this elixir to counter what you're doing, right? So it makes no sense to me why he would do that. And you can see the way that I took the first tower on the right hand side is that I defended on the left hand side and then just dropped a prince off to the right. And that's what you can see me doing here, where he has to use his goblin barrel on defense. It's not going to be nearly enough. And I pushed the prince in the right hand lane because I had all that stuff in the left, and he had to defend either the left or the right, and no matter what, I was going to win. So that was a great example of why you shouldn't use the prince like that. You really want to support the prince with either the baby dragon or the bomber or something like that, or you want to, you know, if they're pushing the left lane, just drop the prince in the right lane, and you know, they'll have to do something about it, and it might not be enough to stop the prince from doing a ton of damage. I also want to, let's see, I have a card request available, so what do I want, actually? I think I've been pushing for a level 6 skeleton would be nice, and I could do that with one request, but I think it's more important right now for me to actually see, I would like a better fireball, and I've noticed fireball with the recent nerf and being at low levels, the fireball is really not that great down here. But I think the musketeer, if I had an over level musketeer, it just gets more bulky and harder to counter. So I'm going to ask for a musketeer. And I found that musketeer is a really great card because, and this is a really good example, I'm going to show you in my most recent replay, actually. I intended on, this is my second take of the video, and this was one that, this was a live match that I played, but I want to show you guys again. He gives up after his first push because I so easily counter what he drops down, and this is a good example of why I kept the archers and the musketeer in the deck, because baby dragon is a very good flying tank that also does AoE, and that could mean really big trouble for your cards if you don't have a good answer for them. Now I misplaced those archers. I should have had the first archer be the archer that's more ahead in the left lane, obviously to reach that Valkyrie sooner, but I just dropped the musketeer and the archer in the left hand lane, and I have the arrows ready for the goblins, no problem. I'd say there's a good chance that your opponent's running the goblin barrel at these lower arenas, so I would say maybe keep those arrows for that on defense, because then, you know, it's an even trade every time, but if that's their win condition, then they really don't have any way of doing damage if you keep countering it without any effort. So you can see here that I just dropped the prince in the left-hand lane, and I think at this point he already, like, once he sees my prince take out the bomber with no problem, he just gives up, because I think he was hoping that it would switch the prince over to the right hand tower or something. I don't know, but it was just such an easy push there. And you know, bomber is not a counter to the prince, just so you guys know. He will die in one hit, especially from the charge, and he probably won't get a shot off because, as you saw earlier, his hit speed is only 1.9 seconds, which is really slow, so he probably won't even get a bomb off on him. But anyway, that's the rest of the replay. I'm actually just going to fast forward because he doesn't do anything. All I do is just drop the prince and that's it. So that was the whole replay. But the reason I'm showing you is because countering baby dragon, like I did at the beginning with the archers and the musketeer, is just the best way to do it down here. And really, it's the only way because the spear goblins die in basically one hit. The witch just does not do enough damage down here at this level. And then you're left with minions, which again die very, very easily to the baby dragon. So I feel like this is the best way to counter baby dragon. And of course, that is a 7 elixir trade for a 4 elixir baby dragon, but they're very, very good on defense. And usually people don't just drop a baby dragon, they usually drop something else along with the baby dragon to support. So you can not only you know, basically what I see a lot of is baby dragon prince, and they'll drop a prince then baby dragon. The prince sprints towards your tower. What I do is I actually put the musketeer and the archers closer to the bridge to attack from the back to hit that baby dragon first, and then they switch their targeting to the prince. And while they're doing that, the baby dragon's usually targeted on either the archers or the musketeer, and when they kill one they'll switch to the other, which means I can drop my skeletons right in front of the prince to distract him, which means I do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elixir for their 9 elixir, which is a good trade for me. Plus usually the musketeer and at least one archer, or maybe one archer and the skeleton or something, something's usually left over for a counter push. But that's just a really, really good way to defend against that. And of course, you know, it's only a 1 elixir advantage, but again, you can start that counter push depending. So anyway, let's jump into a live battle. I don't actually intend to win because I think I've pushed too high of trophies for my current level of cards. I don't know how I got this high, but yeah, let's just jump into a 1v1. Usually when I have my full chest slots, I like to just do a 2v2 or something like that because it doesn't risk my trophies. But at the end of the day, you know, it's whatever. I'm going to drop the archers here. I think that's a really great play to start off with. If you have archers in your starting hand, you might as well do that. And it looks like he's kind of just waiting to see what I do. So I'm just going to drop the knight here and we're going to see what happens. I can be a little aggressive. Is he even playing? I'm not even sure if he's playing. Let's drop the prince here and find out. He might actually just be trying to lower his oh, he is playing. Okay, so that's interesting. So I don't know what he was waiting for, but I just did a ton of damage to his tower. So you're gonna see here why the skeletons are a great way to counter the prince, because now I can just bomb everything. And I might have spoke too soon because I was expecting him to the bomber to do more damage than he did. But anyway, you can see the archers and the tower really doing damage to all of that. And I'm going to drop the knight here kind of as a mini push to see what he has, like what he's going to do. He doesn't have skeleton army, so he can't counter it with that. That would have been a great counter, but he can't do it. So he's going to drop the baby dragon, which unfortunately for him was a terrible choice because baby dragon isn't a high damage unit. He's really good for, you know, AoE stuff like that. So here's a classic push that I've seen lately, again with the baby dragon, and that fireball is going to do a ton of damage. I didn't expect that fireball to be that as well placed as it was. But again, Prince baby dragon is a really great push. So okay, he's got the barbarians in here too, so that's actually a really high elixir costing deck. So he's kind of trying to spam, and I'm gonna just arrow all this and see what happens. I guess I'll have one. Nope, not even a barbarian survives. So let's distract all these guys with the knight, and have the tower and the knight take out the skeleton army. Really, all we have to do now is defend until the end of the game. He did get that one good push in at the beginning, but we kind of have the advantage now where I don't even have to go for a tower if I don't want to. So I can kind of just play defensively, see if he does anything with that knight. For some reason, he decides to. I don't know why. We're going to actually try and catch that prince in the fireball, which we do. And we were not able to stop him from hitting our tower, which is really, really bad, but we were able to prevent him from taking the tower, which is good, but that puts us in a really bad situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop my prince in the left-hand lane, see what happens. If he decides to scar me, I have the arrows. He drops the... Oh, there's the scar me. I actually misplaced that. That was a really bad placement. I should not have done that, but anyway, let's drop the archers here. Kind of anticipating some sort of push. I'm going to drop another musketeer. We're going to fireball this because I can. Oh, please, 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 please. Yes, I hit them all. So we're going to drop the skeletons here, and we're going to arrows everything. I don't know if he's going to take that tower. I don't think he will. And that's good game. So yeah, he had some really good pushes there, and because my deck is such a low elixir cost, it's really difficult for me to defend against things like, you know, like a big counter push with his prince, baby dragon, and maybe those spear goblins, and that's kind of where, you know, skeletons are risky, but you can get a lot of value out of them if you place them right, and I think it's a lot easier to do that when I'm not playing live, because it's just really hard to commentate and concentrate at the same time. But anyway, so that was a good victory. We actually pushed over 900 trophies now, and you can see how close of a match that was. Like, I'm going up against level like 6 players now at this point, which is getting to be a little bit ridiculous, because even if they're a bad player, they just get such better cards because they're such a high level. Let's jump into a 2v2. I'm not going to play with any of my clanmates because I'm way lower level than them. They really wanted me to have 2,000 trophies before joining, but because my cousin's in the clan, he just kind of forced me in there, which was awesome. So let's see what Santiago's got here. Pretty basic setup. We're going, again, level 5. This is a very typical thing for me. I'm going to split skeletons just to see what happens. He's going to go for that. I'm going to drop my musketeer. He's going to drop the skeleton army, which is a terrible choice because, look at, they have 2 Valkyries. They have the witch. Never drop skeleton army on a Valkyrie. You will immediately lose the entire thing almost instantaneously. I think we have enough here to kind of counter this push. That looks like 2 skeleton armies. I think they both dropped them at the same time. I'm going to try and get the knight in here before the archers, and it's not going to work. That's okay, though. We have a huge push here. He's got the cannon, which is interesting. Not enough. The X-bow, though, is a different story, and I don't know how... we should be able to counter it. Yeah, that's a ton of freaking... That's a ton of skeletons. So they are kind of freaking out right now, which might be a good opportunity for me to drop the prince in the left lane, but I'm kind of going to be a chicken about it. Here's a great spot for me to use arrows. So yeah, let's just have those skeletons distract that mini P.E.K.K.A, and hopefully we can kill it before it does anything. We can. That's good. My teammate is not very good, obviously. He just fireballed their king tower for no reason. He could have gotten a ton more value out of it if he had done something else. But we're going to drop the archers over here to take care of that Valkyrie, and hopefully it doesn't get a swing off, which it doesn't. So that's great. Let's drop the bomber here, even though we definitely don't need to. That's actually, you know, he used his skeleton army to counter theirs. That's one counter to skeleton army, is a skeleton army. But at the end of the day, you can counter it in better ways, I think, and save the skeleton army for defense. He's gonna just goblin barrel to the back, which I don't think was a good play because that cannon was right there. I mean, he does get some chip damage, which is cool. Now this is bad because we're gonna actually fireball this because I don't really have a great answer, and I know my teammate, yeah, they still connect with the tower. Hopefully my musket does survive, which is good, so we're gonna be able to take out this balloon, no problem. But balloon is another good example of a card that's kind of difficult to counter down at these levels because it's kind of bulky, kind of flying, and yeah, so let's just see what we can do here. I'm gonna fireball all this and see what happens. I don't know if that was a good trade or not because I was barely paying attention. I'm gonna arrows, and they might be baiting for that, although they are bad players, so I doubt it. Let's drop the skeletons here, hoping that they can't do anything, and there comes the goblin barrel, which is not going to be something I can stop. Oh, actually, I did have the bomber. He placed it off to the left side, which let my bomber kill them all in one shot, which is really good. We might have lost that tower had we not done that, or had I not had that placement there, just kind of luckily. I can fireball all this, kind of anticipating the match being over, and that's good game. So we did get that victory, which was nice. My teammate was very, very aggressive hitting that back tower, and I definitely don't think that's a good play. Don't push for the 3 crown if you aren't guaranteed to get it, and I can't stress that enough. It's just not worth get, like, it's better to win than to get the 3 crown, and I think that's something that maybe lower level players don't understand. They just want to get that 3 crown to make the match over, and like they may think, oh, I'm so close, but really in reality, if we look here and we scroll all the way down, my King Tower has a ton more health than the Crown Tower. So even though you're able to melt a Crown Tower, you still not only are now going to take damage from the King Tower because it's activated, but it's got a ton more health. So don't rush for the 3 crown. But anyway, I think that's probably good for the live battles. Let's open up this special offer where we're going to see what we get in the giant chests. Now, giant chests, if you're a new player, you might not really be familiar with giant chests, except for maybe in quests because they removed it from the shop. We're actually working on a giant chest now, but you can see that a giant chest has 119 cards, 23 of which are at least rares in my current arena, and we get 357 gold, which is cool. So now the unfortunate thing is, oh no, it is level 3. Okay, I was getting confused there. I thought this was from my level 2. But anyway, let's open this guy up. Oh, and it says purchase is unavailable, so we're gonna have to come back with that footage in just a moment. Okay, we are back opening up that that $1 chest. I don't actually know why that payment was canceled. I think it's because I've signed in on this account on 2 different devices, so maybe there was some issue there, but I don't know, and it doesn't matter. 357 gold. Let's see what else we get. We got 1 tombstone, which I kind of wish we got more, but I'm glad we got it because I do like the tombstone. It's a 3 elixir, basically a defensive building, which I really think is cool. And once it dies, it actually spawns, I believe, 4 skeletons, which makes it a really great counter against the giant. Or even like the prince. So let's see what else we get. We get 7 musketeers, which is awesome. Now I kind of feel stupid requesting for one from my clan earlier, so I can upgrade that. And we have 95 cannons. That's insane. There's no reason to give us 95 cannons, and I think this is the funniest part about giant chests is that of all those cards that you could get 95 cannons. And then we get 16 giants, which is really good because I was talking earlier about how I think that my giant is underleveled, and we're kind of just stacking up the gold and the gems now. So let's upgrade our musketeer. 400 gold. Things are starting to get a little bit expensive now, especially at our level. So we now have a level 4 musketeer, and we're going to upgrade our giant as well for 400 golds. I might just put him in my deck now because he's a little bit better. And we have the tombstone, the level 3 tombstone. So now I'm wondering if I have to put the tombstone instead of the skeletons, but then that's going to increase my elixir cost even higher, and that's going to make it difficult to afford the giant in here. So I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know. I think maybe it might be better to even, because of the low level fireball, I think it might be better to just, I don't know, have a tombstone instead of fireball. And I know they serve totally different purposes, but I mean, I feel like I use fireball more defensively almost at lower levels than I would normally. Like on my other account that's in the Electro Valley, I definitely use fireball more offensively. I don't know. I'm not sure, because if I do this, right, if we put the giant in here, that brings up to 3-5. And then if I put the tombstone in, which is only level 1, mind you, it brings up to 3-8. And I just think I'll get more value out of the skeleton, so let's keep that. But if we do put that in instead of, if we put this instead of our fireball, it still brings us to 3-4, which is barely more than what we had before. But that only gives us 1 spell, but it does give us a better choice to defend. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think what we should do is actually just, you know what, I'm gonna donate 1 because that'll push me to level 5. So let's get it, boys. Level 5, which is awesome. Gonna increase the health of our towers and the damage output, which is great. Let's jump into a match because we can get our crown chest now. That is an option, so let's jump into a match with this new deck and see how it goes. So I'm gonna take a sip of water while the game loads. Excuse me. So let's just give this guy some good luck and see what happens. Now, I think I'm going to start with, oh, he's, okay, so this is actually where we're going to put down the musketeer and the archers. You always want to make sure that the archers go second because the musketeer is just better at tanking. He's gonna drop the cannon all the way back there. Let me give you guys a little pro tip. That's a bad place to put the cannon because he's not shooting my musketeer with the cannon. Terrible choice. So yeah, put the cannon more in the middle of the map. And okay, this is interesting because I really cannot counter this. What I can do is I can arrows those goblins, but there's nothing I can do about that balloon. So I'm just gonna take that damage, and instead of freaking out about it, I'm just gonna take his tower because that's just the best thing to do. I'm gonna drop my musketeer. Probably a terrible placement for the musketeer, but honestly I want to see if he can take out the baby dragon. He's really trying to have that baby dragon take out my giant, and I'm sorry, but it's not gonna work. In hindsight, I might have been able to defend against that balloon with the tombstone, but at the end of the day, it's all right. So we're actually gonna wait for that thing to charge all the way over here, and I'm gonna drop the tombstone, and we're gonna see what happens. Now again, I could have see that first skeleton that spawns actually just completely just ends him. So yeah, that was a really good play in my opinion. So yeah, again, I could have put skeletons, but then in 3 swings he takes out all of them, so it makes it difficult. Now he's probably gonna push again with that balloon, I would be willing to guess. If not, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he just freaking out about the fact that he's at such a disadvantage right now, and I could exploit that and really just drop my prince here, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ready the arrows in case he puts down goblins or a skeleton army or something like that, but he might have given up. He might just have accepted defeat, and I'm just gonna drop the arrows anyway to speed up the victory because he has completely given up. And I think that was a really awesome video to showcase the giant being a little bit beefier. You saw how many shots he took from that baby dragon, plus you saw how effectively I was able to defend against the prince with the tombstone. And I think you might have learned something from that cannon placement where my musketeer locks on and just starts shooting the tower, and his cannon's doing nothing, and that's a terrible spot for the cannon. What you want to do with the cannon is put the cannon in a spot where either A, my musketeer locks onto the cannon and attacks the cannon instead of your tower, or B, you want it to ideally take out what's attacking you, which he definitely failed to do. So I think maybe this is a better deck. This might be a better deck than what I used before, just sheerly because of the better giant, and now we have the tombstone. Don't sleep on the tombstone, guys. I know that the skeletons are weaker than the goblins from the goblin hut, but it costs 2 elixir less. It's a great counter to the prince that you're seeing a ton of, I'm sure, down at these lower levels, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like on the video. Again, let me know what you think of the new layout of the video. I think it looks a lot better than my last video. Again, don't forget to subscribe up in this corner, up over here somewhere, right there. Just make sure you smack the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for my channel so that way you know the next time I upload some Clash Royale gameplay. And again, I'm a new channel playing this game, so if you have any questions or any sort of decks that you want to see me play, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. And that's about it, guys. So thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.